And hello, and welcome to another midweek bonus stream of the Untitled Anarchist Seagull channel. I made this tea and I haven't even had a drink of it yet. Okay, let's get some Geoguessr going. Parking only. Okay, that's a 7-digit phone number. I'm going to say we're in North America someplace. Taste of India. Okay. 541 Erica. The Cleveland, Eugene, Oregon. 541 area code. Is that Eugene? Oh, it covers most of Oregon, including Eugene. Let's see. Can we get... Can we get a street name, maybe? I mean, this looks fairly central. Franklin and what? Villard. Franklin and Villard. Okay, let's see. Nice, easy one for start. Eugene, Franklin, and Villard. Yeah, 18th. Okay, Jefferson, Oak, Villard. Wait, is that all? Okay, there we go. The Taste of India. Right. Haha. Okay. Fuck yeah. Hold on, what was that? 126. Judkins Point. Walnut. Little Big Burger. The Taste of India. There we go. 20 yards off. 5,000. Okay, that's not a bad start at all. Okay. Okay, let's see. I have this vague sense that maybe this is Japan from the buildings. I mean, that parking on the footpath, that isn't something you see much of in the US, certainly. On the other hand, this sort of pavement doesn't entirely fit in with that. Oh, hold on. We are in Japan. I was right. Akeshiohashidori. Akeshiohashidori. Shinye Ichijodori. Shinye. Could this possibly be Nagoya? Hokuyo Ginko. Okay, yeah, we are absolutely in Japan. Let's see if we can narrow it down a little bit further. Shuka ryori, Chinese food. That does not narrow it down much. There's tons of Chinese food in Japan. God, okay. Those hydrants. I joke about how Canada's hydrants look like the droids that Luke Skywalker rejected. But those are cool hydrants. Shiechug Higashiyondori. Shiniechu. Okay, I'm not thinking Nagoya anymore. Wild strawberry. Akeshi. Kaiji Kinenkan. Okay, so it's a coastal city called Ake. That does not help much, because practically everything in Japan is coastal, albeit sometimes at a certain remove. It is one of the most coastal places you can be in. Kokudo Yonju Okay. National Route 44. That is something that we might have some luck spotting. There's 42. Makinohara. Moricho. Shizuoka. Ito. Looking for, let me just make absolutely certain. 44. 289, 340, 40. Okay, there's 49. The hell does the road numbering system work like in Japan anyway? 4, 48, 45, 'Come on, give me 44 here. $45. 아, 44号線一体どこなんだ。4、279、あけし。あけしって初耳で、それは5。今別。中泊まり。西目屋。7、285。46。46って。それは4、46。444、30、300だ。4、45、47、44って一体どこなの？48。300。それは6、49。南に行けば行くほど番号が高くなるかしら。8。41。では、見当違いだったね。249、400、100、18。290、444って、あっけし、44号線。16、51、4、40、463、 20Okay, we're gonna learn a little bit about the Japanese road numbering system, because really, why not? Okay. Class 1 highways. Okay, how does this work? Okay, sort of like A and B roads are 2 digits or 3 digits, depending on how likely you are to have to reverse. Maybe they get into more detail in the Japanese version. 一般国道とは日本における高速自動車国道以外の道路法第5条で定められた国道のこと。それは全くどうでもいい。定義、路線番号。一般国道は路線番号により国道1号から507号まで指定されている。ただし歴史的経緯により欠番があるため実在するのは459路線である。29国道。路線指定の路線指定ルーツ。一般国道の多くはそれまで都道府県道、主要地方道だった道が国道に降格する形で路線指定されている。さらに過去に遡ればもともと古くからの街道に行き着く。江戸時代の五街道いらねえそれ。一般国道一覧。44。北海道だった。だから見つからなかった。北海道にある本州で北海道の路線を探すのはあんまりあっけっていかにも北海道的な名前だったし、37、36、38、40、豊臣、稚内、240、40ばっかりで、44ってどこ探しても見つからん。旭川。でもさ、海岸にあるはずだろう。この厚岸。知床国立公園。ラウスさん。44路線。根室。 西和田根室あっけあっけしあけさとあっとこ浜中町浜中車内あっけしあったわー。では新栄町って新栄町一度通りここだ。ではさあ426 yards, 49.99. Not bad. Okay, so. Okay, I immediately am thinking Britain, maybe Ireland, and let us see. Passing place. Yeah. Yeah, I can tell you from experience, these sorts of country roads, all you're doing is reversing. If you weren't good at reversing before you came to the countryside in Britain, you will get really fucking good at it, because it's not just that the roads are narrow, there are hedgerows on either side, which, in addition to being a fascinating, like, micro ecosystem full of all sorts of just amazing plants. Okay. Oh, bollocks. That's blurry, but I get a very Scottish feel off of it. So off we go to Scotland. Could be up in the Highlands someplace. It's hilly enough. slow. Yes, definitely. Oh, hold on. Just another thing announcing a passing place. Very pretty pond thing. And it's on the railway line. That may come in handy. Well, assuming it's an active railway line and not one of the ones that Beechings got rid of because it was not in a marginal. Realtor, estate agents. Okay, we have established we are indeed in Britain. Glen Muckloch. Yeah, that sounds pretty Scottish. But no. Okay, this looks like an active railway. So... Kirkconnell, winner of Best Small Village in Scotland. And it is indeed quite pretty. Dufftown. Ben Nevis, Gnavan, Benderloch, Muirvoort, Dalcross, Botegarten, Kirkconnell. I don't see any sign that this place is on the coast. Delnabo, Stratton, Spittle of Glenshee, Braid Downey, Killycranky, Dalfinny. Oban, wait, Arnold. Could Connell be near Ardconnell? Okay. If Ardconnell and Connell are next to each other, could Kirkconnell be far off? Probably. Kilmore. Kilninver. Melford. Don't even know who Melford is. Inverliver. Dullness. Oh. Gessen, Loop, Achlein, Midlix, Borland, Kirkconnell we're after. I have a feeling we're probably not going to find it. Not without dedicating a truly inordinate amount of time. Because, I mean, it's one thing to be best village, but best small village suggests that it's small even by village standards. And, yeah. Pitcairn, Littleton, Kinrossy, Perth Airport. Hey, Hillock, Gund, Arbroath, Boysack. Bridge of Dun. Liberty. New Bigging. Port Lethen. Aberdeen. Kirkton of Skene. Kirkconnell. Fuck's sake. South Flobbits. Does that mean there's a North Flobbits? We're looking for the best small village in Scotland in 2019. Well, hello. If you're not feeling up to it, I mean, I wouldn't. But if you are, it's always lovely to see you, Andromeda. Rathen, Cairness, Gowanhill, Broomhead, Percy Horner, White Bog, Bonnie Kelly. Yes, I'm... okay. Well... good to see you. Let's see, we're just going to wing it. And 45-49, still not bad. That's actually been on a pretty good streak these past couple. This is the lowest score I've had this round. Okay. 4 out of 5. And I'm feeling like we might be in Scandinavia. Or we might be in Russia. Okay, that wasn't anything that all that informative. I'm a bit tired myself. Did a walk around the lake for the first time this season. Pälboda. Okay, that feels like Sweden to me. Hold on, there was a sign there. Oh no, that wasn't a sign, that was a roof that it pixelated for absolutely no good reason. Okay, middle of nowhere in Sweden. Only 117 miles. Okay. This looks considerably more built up. We are in California in a referendum campaign. But California kind of likes referendum campaigns in general, so that doesn't necessarily mean a whole lot. Although, could this be Sacramento? I mean, that's a very state government-y looking building. Yes, we must be in Sacramento. "74 yards, 5,000 points. Excellent. It's 23,955. And I'm up to level 15. And well, we've been doing a lot of the Muppet lately. So I think it's time we found out what Dick Casket thinks of the word leftist. Or maybe cancel culture is bad news, bro. Actually, considering that they have decided to throw in their lot with fucking Caleb Muppet, this could be very interesting. It will, of course, it's guaranteed to be a good take.
If anybody here is interested in some disgusting, revolting, dumber than my degree sounds takes, that is what I have to offer, according to twitter.com.
Okay, well, I wasn't going to say it quite that harshly. Well, let me be honest. Yes, I probably was. But yeah, that sounds about right. That's nice. I like truth in advertising.
So I hope that you are ready for that.
Yeah, that person who called you disgusting. For what did you say?
I think I gave a material analysis on electoral politics in the US.
Oh, yeah, that's right. What we want to talk about today is what is a leftist, especially in terms of today. Can you reliably say the word leftist and mean what definitionally leftist means? And
Well, it depends on what your definition is, I suppose.
can you rely on the group of people that is currently known as leftists to actually be critical of the structures that are in place upholding power?
Well, I mean, it depends on known to who. I mean, this is such a question begging thing because there's the usage that you have in the media, which also describes, like, fucking Joe Biden as part of the left, which, no. Or Bernie Sanders, also no. Or you can take a definition, say, that says that, you're leftist if you are opposed to capitalism and want some kind of communism or anarchism.
Does anybody have any guesses?
A lot of the time recently when we talk about
Okay, I love that. I have to say, I do love that dress. And the fucking lipstick, too.
leftists, we're starting to get into this sort of rhetorical corner where we have to spend time making distinctions between what people know as leftists and what definitionally leftists are. And unfortunately, I think this is coming from the fact that leftist, like it or not, is kind of been adopted by the media structures, the various capital structures, with a very specific.
Yeah, that isn't actually new. That's kind of been going on for a little bit. It's why I've actually heard people call the Brookings Institute left wing.
Specific meaning, and that image has been replicated and put out there, and people have generally accepted that. People see like somebody dressed like they went shopping at Hot Topic, got an anarchy shirt or a Che Guevara shirt, and they're like, that's a communist. And that communist might go to like Chaz and act as though that's communism. They might start reporting family members to the FBI or something and say that's communism because it's anti-fascism.
Which it's not. So,
Okay, what the hell just happened?
I don't live online. That's not what I do. That's not part of my thing. I guess I do a little bit more now. But my understanding...
Well, you mean because you're constantly on Dick Caskett's social media presence?
of leftism is an unambiguous opposition to capitalism and the structures that it upholds, including its justifying ideologies of racial, ethnic, gender, sexuality, ability hierarchies. That is my understanding.
Okay, yeah, I mean, can't fault that. Let's see how Peter Coffin fucks this up.
I'd say that's a pretty workable definition as to what, definitionally speaking, we're talking about when we mean leftist politics. When we say leftism, we're saying something that is anti-capitalist, that's anti-ideological bigotry.
And have you met my friend Caleb Maupin?
Class-oriented society. Communism is explicitly, like the definition of communism is a stateless, classless society. That is what communism is.
Okay, well, I can find another one. Why don't we switch? Actually, I'm beginning to think that this might just be me agreeing with reasonable things being said by Peter Coffin, and that's no fun because we know that Peter Coffin says some fucking whack shit, especially lately. Shall we just give Peter Coffin a miss altogether and do somebody else, or shall we try another one from the Dick Casket? Okay. Okay. Let's see. I've got I've got the thing for you. Yeah, I know. I know there's nothing to be sorry about. I get that. That was actually like I never really paid too much attention to Peter Coffin, but like I remember there was a period. The reason I followed them on Twitter because they seemed every time there was a discussion. I mean, this is going back a couple of years, but they seemed to be saying some things that made sense. They seemed to be somebody worthwhile. And then they decided to just, like, be Tim Pool, basically. So instead of watching the sort of imitation Tim Pool, we're going to watch the real Tim Pool.
Talking points don't work again, and unfortunately the left is, their whole deal is closing ranks. They hand down their ideas like doctrine, whereas I think the right is still kind of open source to it to a degree, because the right goes
yeah, because I mean, if there's one thing about the right is that they tend to be famously open-minded about things.
by principles more so than doctrine.
That's a good point. Whatever there's two factions, and it's the centralized and the decentralized. That's really basically what it is.
I mean, that's
We're gonna get into some Bitcoin bullshit, aren't we?
populists took over, and that's why the Democrats, they're beating back the leftists with sticks. Yes, they capitulate every now and again because it's just trendy, and you've got these kids that don't know any better, and they want to get them on board. But at the
Actually, I mean, that's better than they actually. He has somebody on who acknowledges that the Democrats are and the leftists are actually separate entities. That's kind of nice to. Yeah, exactly. Because I mean, leftists, we just agree with each other all the time. That's just all we do. You go into one of our meetings and we all just kind of agree with each other. Now, there's no conflict at all.
same time, the right won their revolt and took over the Republican Party largely, even if it's just for show, even if a lot of...
Well, the right already controlled the Republican Party. And, I mean, I think by any reasonable definition, the Democratic Party as well.
The politicians, you get a lot of these old guard Republicans that are now adopting the whole populist message, but even if it's...
Well, one of the things that actually... I mean, it turns out when Caleb Muppet's Traveling Circus went to Austin, they had outside their venue Maoists with the Red Guards. They had Austin Antifa and the DSA all out there protesting against them. I mean, that is probably the first time those three have all managed to agree on anything.
Just for show.
Trick, primary them, get them out.
Yeah.
You want me to vote Republican? Okay.
Hey, is the audio cutting out for you? I'm wondering if this is my headphones or whether this is this video.
Primary all these guys.
Yes.
Yeah.
All of them. Mm-hmm. Get them out. And I'm pretty sure everyone all the Trump supporters agree. Yes, Rhino's out. I do think it's fair to. I think it's unfair to call them.
Oh wait. This is like okay. because Tim Pool's whole thing has always been, oh, I'm not a Trump supporter or anything, and then he'll spend like 3 or 4 hours straight defending every single thing Trump does and smearing anyone who objects to it.
Rhinos, though, like the Republican in name only, because I'm like, the truth be told, the Republican Party and the majority are do-nothings.
Yeah.
You know, it's like the one or two guys, like Rand Paul maybe, who's going to do something different. So he's the one who's only.
Oh yeah, I mean, Rand Paul has some wonderful ideas about getting rid of the Civil Rights Act, and like, I mean, spreading. Well, I mean, you can't even say that that's actually. I mean, how is that even different? The difference between Rand Paul and the people he's calling rhinos is that Rand Paul will actually get right out there and say, yeah, fuck the Civil Rights Act, we need to get rid of this shit. Whereas the Republicans these days, like now that Jesse Helms and those motherfuckers have all fortunately died off, will hem and haw a little bit and be racist in a way that allows Democrats to get offended by anyone who calls them racists.
Republican in name. He's
Yeah.
more libertarian in principle.
At the beginning of the show, I was thinking, I feel like American politics is different now. Like, it's still the same suit, American politics, but whoever's wearing it is like, because we're in the age of social media and popularity contests now.
Yeah.
I don't think that.
Yeah, because I mean that was never, popularity contests were never a part of U.S. politics before. I mean, that's just totally new. Before that, everybody was chosen on merits, like George Bush.
That term, that these endless terms work
Warren G.
anymore.
Harding.
It's too easy to get super popular and then have like totalitarian control.
Basically.
So we really
It's easy to get. Wait a second. I mean, the Congress is not popular. The people in Congress are actually not all that popular. They do not poll well. Like there are a handful of people in Congress who are actually well thought of. And the institution as a whole isn't very much not. Deservedly so. I mean, it's easy to get popular. I mean, it's easy to get really popular and base a totalitarian rule off of that. I mean, they're not even trying to be popular with us. I mean, what is this guy even talking about?
got to kind of, reboot or reevaluate or transition. There's probably a better word.
No, I get what you're saying, and I mean it's happening to an extent. The Democrats, they run their party in a very 90s to 2000s era kind of way. That's why they focus on big media corporations and all that, whereas the right has already evolved. So the left is still the left, and when I say left, I don't mean the true left. I mean this neoliberal establishment.
What the fuck? How did he get on? How did they let him on? This is not the sort of this isn't the sort of distinctions that the Tim Pool Variety Hour is famous for. To actually recognizing, wow, okay, this is actually fucking surprising me. This is gonna get...
are still operating in the Clintonian era where, you go up, you get a celebrity to say some good things about you, and then, you dance around for the camera, and then you go back to your dark room.
But remember when Hillary Clinton was campaigning and she put on a southern drawl when she was in like Alabama or wherever she was? Like, yo, we have the internet. Back in the day, you could do that. Back in the day, the politician could go to Chicago and be like, I'm just like you guys. I got a garage door opener just like you. And they could go to New York.
What? This is that is a typical Chicago characteristic, having a garage door opener?
I could be like, yo, you vote for me and both of these guys are getting out and I'm going to wipe these guys out. And it worked. People would be like, hey, he sounds like me. Now,
except that's actually not true. Because, I mean, in fact, you go back a few decades and finding even, like, regional accents other than, like, sort of upper-class Midwestern on television was actually kind of rare. I mean, it's the embrace of regional accents is actually a relatively late 20th century phenomenon. You can tell if you listen to like newsreels and shit like that from the 40s and 50s, and like television in general from like the 50s and everything. they have a distinct accent that you never hear anymore. There is a distinct 1950s TV accent, and that is because they were very prescriptive about the regional accents. You didn't see actually, that is unlikely.
When you do that, they're like, "Why are you talking different?" AOC actually did it. Remember when she put on like a Spanish? She put on a Spanish accent.
Yeah.
And then people were like, "Yo, you don't sound like that."
Yeah.
And she was like, "I wasn't putting on an accent. That's just because I'm bilingual." And it's like, dude.
Who did he say was putting on an accent?
She put on a Spanish accent.
Yeah.
And then now, not a garage door opener, just like, go to Chicago and be like, "I'm just like you guys. I got a garage door opener just like you." And they could go to New York and be like, "Yo, you vote for me and both of these guys are getting out and I'm going to wipe these guys out." And it worked. People would be like, "Hey, he sounds like me." Now, when you do that, they're like, "Why are you talking different?" AOC.
Yeah, because everyone knows, like, I mean, like, probably the best known New Yorker president, I back this up because I want to know who he's talking about with the Spanish accent. I mean, like, the best known the best known New Yorker president, of course, was FDR, and we all know, I mean, his famous quote, in his fireside chats, he goes, "Yo, we got nothing to fear but fear itself." Of course, all of that regional accent, it's like, these fucking people, like, are they familiar with any culture from before they were born?
Actually did it. Remember when she put on like a Spanish? She put on a Spanish accent.
Yeah.
And then people were like, "Yo, you don't sound like that."
Yeah.
And she was like, "I wasn't putting on an accent. That's just because I'm bilingual." And it's like, dude.
Yeah, mocked. It's worth noting, mocked by Vosh, who then managed to pronounce her name even Vosh did a whole thing like mocking her pronunciation of her fucking name. And it's like, and here's the thing, I can say this from my own experience. If I've been speaking Spanish like all day, yeah, I do not immediately like seamlessly transition to un-Spanish accented English. Like when I come back, I've spent a few months in Chile or something like that, and I come back, it's like about a day or so that of hearing and actually speaking English, because I basically don't speak English when I'm down there at all. I really just don't have occasion to speak it. And it takes adjustment. I mean, and it is very hard to sort of pack two completely different phonetic systems into one sentence. Like, if you're referring to somebody, like you're switching accents. If I'm pronouncing, like, say, the name of, say, Salvador Allende correctly, then there is sort of a transitional phase there between the two. Yeah.
Dude, it worked when we were only newspapers. It would be like Hillary Clinton came and said these words. But if you actually heard it, she tries to imitate the people there. She did that in her campaign. Doesn't work. These are different times. You can't do that stuff. But they still think it's 20 years ago. Why? Well, Nancy Pelosi's what? She 80-something years old? How old is she?
81, I think.
Dianne Feinstein's 90, isn't she?
As opposed to the youthful Republican front bench, I mean, these brash youngsters like Donald Trump and fucking Mitch McConnell.
Yeah, at some point, these politicians, they reach their shelf life, and I think the GOP, a lot of the old guard politicians in the GOP are really about to probably bow out, just because they see the writing on the wall, and that it is good. But the issue is the right has a very big talent scouting program. Think about this. Or
because you just get such wonderful, talented people on the right. You like fucking Tim Pool. They basically, if you say like ignorant, bigoted bullshit and stand for basically all the worst in humanity, they will be happy to. They'll take you on. And if you basically make a point of never standing for much of anything, the Democrats will take you on, and then you stand for the worst in humanity as well. But you do it in like a more boring way or something. I mean, the talent scouting program. Yeah, I mean, because look at the fucking the right-wing talent in this country. Fucking Dennis Prager and like his lot, or Tim Pool, or fucking Steven Crowder, or I mean, like, really, this is what you think peak performance looks like?
A talent scouting, or an issue with their talent scouting program where a lot of the people that you see come up on the right, they don't get a lot of these people that are out on the forefront on Twitter making memes, spreading this information. A lot of these non-blue check but big name influencers, they don't scout those people. They get the interns, the people that work for somebody that they know, to come up, the yes men, and that's who they put in. And these are anti-charismatic people. They don't quite understand or relate. And it's like getting somebody like Marjorie Taylor Greene. You can say what you want about her Q stuff and all of that, but she's different.
And I love to hear Tim try to walk to sit on that particular fence and avoid that. I mean, because she's just like literally, every time she opens her mouth, it's just literal neo-Nazi shit. And Tim Pool is famously good at not noticing dog whistles in any visible way.
You know what I can't stand? Republicans, they all wear suits. No, I get it. Democrats in Congress are wearing suits, but like conservatives, like mainstream conservatives, show up to events wearing suits. 19-year-old kids wearing suits. I'm like, you are not relatable to a regular working class person.
Nobody wants that guy. And it's like, you have all this talent right here, but you keep on picking the same old, and then you're wondering why you're getting stomped out by these people that are using Twitch streams, and they're sitting up here, they're reaching out to the kids, and they're inspiring youth to become leftists.
And
I think a lot of people, conservative that are really successful people that happen to be conservative, go into business. They don't go into politics.
That's a big thing too.
Which is, I mean, honestly, there's not actually that much of a wall between business and politics. I mean, there's a fucking revolving door. You go into business, and then eventually you do a few years in politics, you take that pay cut, and then you get a bunch of consulting shit. It is a standard fucking thing. I mean, and that is not a particularly partisan specific thing either.
And that's honestly the cycle that politics should follow, is that you should become very proficient in something else in life. And
fucking audio keeps cutting out.
And once you've done that, once you've accomplished all that you want, then go into politics. That sounds pretty similar to what Trump did. Trump had already made his money. He had already become a business magnate. He had...
Well, basically through creative application of the bankruptcy laws.
You couldn't bribe him because he already had everything. So what do you want?
You couldn't bribe Trump. There's one thing that is just, you couldn't possibly bribe a guy who had huge debts and had all sorts of fucking projects on the go that needed approval from all sorts of different people. Yeah, I mean, no possibly way you could bribe a guy like that. I mean, this idea, when Piñera got in, another asshole billionaire, that was the line the far right were saying, yeah, I'm probably not going to last for much longer either. I mean, it's like, yeah, he's so rich he doesn't have to steal. It's like, well, he got rich by fucking doing bank fraud and then narrowly avoiding prosecution, and he's still fucking stealing. I mean, it's a habit of a lifetime, leaving aside the fact that you can't really become rich without stealing from some motherfucker.
He wanted the accolades of going into politics. And now when you have that motivation, you're not out here trying to sell out the highest bidder. You're not out here trying to wear a bunch of corporate brands. You're just trying to get your legacy.
Well, he was wearing his own fucking corporate brand.
You're just trying to get your legacy through. And that's why I didn't understand why they did not like this guy. Like, it's an insurance policy. Trump gets in. If he does bad, his brands suffer. People remember Trump as, oh, you remember that guy that got in and he just ruined everything? Kind of like what we said about Joe Biden. Like,
which, I mean, they're good. That is basically how Trump is remembered. It's how Biden's going to be remembered, because Biden's basically doing all of Trump's shit. He's like boring Trump.
Trump wouldn't allow that to happen. So that's why I just didn't get that. But that's the cycle that politics is supposed to follow. But
You miss Trump yet?
I sure could go for some mean twits right now.
Right.
I would take 20 mean tweets.
Yeah.
Fire 'em
Gas
off.
prices. Yeah.
You know,
He's looking good.
Man.
Yeah,
He
losing
cut out
weight.
the fast food and that
yeah, something like
television.
that.
Good for
I
him.
remember 2019, man.
Jesus, these people.
Best economy, people were cheering.
Last
Jim
good
Cramer
year.
was like best numbers of our
Oh,
life.
yeah, Jim Cramer. That's the guy who, on the eve of the global financial crisis, was telling everybody what a good investment Bear Stearns was, and somehow still had a career after that because nobody's fucking career was harmed by their involvement in creating the biggest financial crisis, market collapse of, the past half of the previous half century. Yeah, Jim Cramer's definitely a guy. I mean, all these fucking stock analysts on TV, it is... I don't know how that is anything other than how that can be distinguished from a pump and dump. Because if they put stock analyst under your name on, CNN or MSNBC or whatever, and you go, yeah, you need to buy these shares in Concrapco, the shares in Concrapco are going to shoot up. And if you happen to hold some of those shares, I mean, the fact that you said it on TV is enough to make that stock jump in price, and then you can get rid of the shit. I mean, I don't know how. So yeah, Jim Cramer. That's definitely the guy to listen to for sound economic analysis. And with that thought, I think I'm probably going to call it a night as well. Sweet dreams, good luck at the appointment thing. Hope all of that goes well, and there will be more of these random streams. Some of them will probably be earlier than this, over the next week or so.